What is going on, YouTube universe? My name is Zirra, and welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to Zirra Reacts, the channel where we break down, interpret, and do whatever we have to do to videos on the internet. It has been a hot minute for all the worshippers and followers out there, but today we are diving into more Sleep Token. The previous Sleep Token reaction we did was to the inaugural EP 1, which saw, at least in my eyes, the transition of a relationship gone bad. Now, you can attribute that to your own lives with maybe a romantic or sexual based relationship, but I feel in the moment this could have been a relationship between Vessel and Sleep, which starts as devoting yourself wholly to this person, to this being, transitioning then into giving yourself wholly to this person, but not having that reciprocated back, and then leading into what ultimately was the breakdown, the deterioration of the relationship. Now, if this is a lore and story that's going to follow through to the second EP, I'm expecting nothing but continuous, degradation and, dilapidation and everything just broken down further, just more so falling into the void. I could be completely wrong. Again, I only just recently got on board the Sleep Token wagon, so when it comes to trying to anticipate what's going to come, I think I'm going to fall short of the mark more often than not, especially given the fact that coming into this, I didn't expect Vessel's voice to be as soothing as it has been. He has powers beyond human control. I mean, the R&B inspired falsetto that he has, just leading into this more heavier electronic tone, almost defies natural vocal and instrumental tropes. It is such a beautiful blend, and I cannot wait to see this evolution, because obviously the first reaction I did was Alkaline, which is a newer kind of track. So going back to the first EP, you can still pick up on those nuances, but you can definitely hear that his voice and instrumentally the band has transitioned and evolved over time. So skipping from one over to the next EP, which we're going to be reacting to today, called 2, I'm looking for growth. I'm looking to see if there's continuity between the themes that have been presented, and seeing the name of the 3 tracks on this album, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and have a bit of a guess at what's going down here. Now, the 3 tracks on 2 are known as Kolkata, Nazareth, and Jericho. And if you have a look through history, these are 3 civilizations that are older as time goes on. So Kolkata, newer, well, closer to this point in time, but then you go further back, you go to Nazareth, then you go to Jericho. There's obviously religious connotation to these, so it leans into worshipping a deity in some way, shape, or form. But the fact that these civilizations are getting older and historically are older in time, are we going to see that, regression and kind of breakdown of a relationship further explored in the way of, with every civilization becoming older, are we going to see more deterioration in the theming as time goes on? I'm so keen to dive on in and check this out. I hope you guys are as well. Before we do so, we do this on the channel every time. We've got to make sure we do it for Sleep Token again. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to take a deep breath in. We are going to take a deep breath out. We're going to make room. We need to take everything in wholly. We need to experience. We are here to worship after all. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Sleep Tokens 2, the EP.
Chipping now and over time.
Okay, so again, I did this with the one EP, and just his voice is just so calming that I feel the need to just close my eyes and just listen. But I feel when giving a visual experience, and I know some of you guys at home have come out and said more often than not they're just visualizers. There's not an actual video clip to react to, but when there is one, I feel like I'm robbing myself of an opportunity to witness something great if I close my eyes. But just the voice and the instrumentals are just so calming to me that I feel compelled to close them. I'm even feeling compelled to close them as I'm explaining. I'm feeling compelled to close them. So far, we have been, at least I feel, given a visual representation and a lyrical representation that he's going through some healing here. Missing pieces find me, almost like he's going through a transition of repair and regrowth. Maybe he's found a new relationship that is helping him piece the pieces together again. Maybe he is reconnecting with sleep on another level, and that relationship is starting to pick itself up again and piece itself back together. Visually, we see somebody literally crawling, and it's almost like you can attribute that to crawling out of the wreckage. Obviously, in one, so much violence and angst came out of the end of that he's crawling out of that relationship and beginning anew again. At least that's something that I can attribute to visually. And again, when it comes to art, like music, like physical form, we can lend our own experiences and interpretations. I could be missing the mark completely, but I'm definitely feeling this is about regrowth and beginning again and repairing oneself. Let's dive back on in. Their harmonies are so beautiful. Their instrumental transitioning from softer, somber, tones to the more heavier kind of, tones that we're just getting here is so incredibly well done. It is so seamless. And I was just about to comment on the fact that I'm happy if this song is just going to be that somber kind of opening, because again, if it is speaking about regrowth and repairing and fixing yourself, then a lighter kind of tone instrumentally works perfectly. But as one presented to us all, it got heavier over time as the tones started to get darker thematically, and if my thinking about, you know, the transitioning between civilizations and the further deterioration continues, then lending itself to a heavier drop here, transitioning into the second track in Nazareth could be something they're going to do. Again, I could be missing the mark. I'm just loving this so much. I'm trying my best not to continuously pause and talk. I want to just let things run its natural course, but I loved that transition. We're going to run it back. We're going to take it in again. I love that it's almost drowning itself out. That's incredibly clever. It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes thematically. And again, as I said, if this is about repair, if it's about regrowth, if it's about finding somebody new after experiencing something so detrimental to yourself, there were many visual cues that could lead to that. Even the singular flame, almost you can attribute that to finding a new flame in your life. As somebody, and I did touch on this in my last Sleep Token video, as somebody who's come out of a long-term relationship in a very negative way, I can liken myself and attribute myself to the idea of finding missing pieces again, whether that's finding them yourself and putting yourself back together again, whether that is having somebody come into your life to help you pick up the pieces. That doesn't necessarily need to be a romantic or sexual partner. It can be a family member, it can be a close friend. I definitely feel that's where we were going, but then it transitioned right at the end to having blood in his mouth, and it started to get more gritty, and it started to pick up again. So it's almost, to me, I can kind of put pieces together, ironically, and start to kind of, you know, make a summation that maybe Vessel here is talking about picking up the pieces with sleep, and once he has done so, the violence and the negativity is already starting to reform itself again. That's what I take from that. At any rate, that was absolutely great. That was beautiful. I've been finding, and I don't listen to anything ahead of time when it comes to reaction videos, so with Sleep Token, my experience listening outside of these has only been with the one EP and Alkaline, but even then, you can just sit back and relax with those kind of songs, and even though this has a powerful emotional meaning and pull, it's one of those songs that you can just lie back or sit back and put it on and just close your eyes and seep it all in, you know, take it all in. Absolutely incredible. They've kicked this EP off well and strong. I'm very keen to see where they go with Nazareth next. We've already got a bassier tone to kick things off, which is interesting.
And I'll see you when the wrath comes, knocking on your bedroom door with money, building your kingdom, dripping from the open mouth. I'll show you what you look like from the inside. And I'll see you when the wrath comes around. Tonight.
His voice is so beautiful. Something's building. Again, transitioning is so beautiful, even with that little distorted, almost rewind pause kind of sound effect before that drop. Man, What's very interesting here is the transition from healing and rebuilding with Kolkata to here. Lyrically, we're looking at something incredibly much more violent and dark, and it's very morbid to say, but there's beauty in it. And you're probably thinking I'm fucking crazy, but whatever relationship Vessel is singing about here, whether we open it to interpretation to Vessel and sleep, whether we attribute it to something ourselves, this is something that has clearly taken a turn for the worse. I mean, when you have lyrics coming through like, I'll see you when the wrath comes knocking on your bedroom door with money, you know, there's a more vivid kind of visualization of let's load the gun, make her eat the tape on the bathroom mirror. It comes through very angelically, but there's disdain and hatred behind that on some kind of level. I mean, see if she can guess what a hollow point does to a naked body. It's almost, I don't know whether you take that as literal or metaphorical. There's no doubt that Vessel is furious and seething, and I don't know whether that's she looks at herself in the mirror or they look at themselves in the mirror and question what a bullet would do, whether they're thinking, if they're going to be the ones pulling the trigger themselves, whether you're pulling the trigger at them. It's so deep-seated in psychological push and pull. I'm very much so invested in this. I'm going to run it back before the drop once more, but I love where Sleep Tokens sit thematically and lyrically, and they just take you on a journey. That's what I'm loving the most, just the connective journey that you go on with these guys. See, missing you, let's load the gun. Here we go. I can never prepare myself for the dirty, filthy, sexy drops. Holy shit. Something else I want to point out too. Now, this is just a visualizer, right? So I could be just leaning into things a little bit more than I should be. But the fact that the bug, the insect, starts on something that's pure white, so pure, could be likened to Vessel being in the moment, in feeling so pure with something again. But then the blood creeps in and starts staining that purity, and then we see literal distortion and the lines being blurred. Could definitely see a transition through relationship there as well. Again, am I overreaching? I don't know. But let's get ready for that sexy drop once more. We're going to run it back a little bit more than we need to. No, we don't. We're perfect. Let's get dirty, filthy, sexy with it. Yes. Brilliant. Oh boy. Thematically, if we're leaning into what I'm suggesting could be it, and I'm not at all saying that's the definitive answer. If we're starting with Kolkata with healing, and then we've transitioned into violence already, if the deterioration is going to continue, Jericho is going to be absolutely deplorable when it comes to the lyrics, when it comes to the instrumental, with the drops, with the theming. I wasn't ready to dive straight in. But we are. This came out just shy of 9 years ago. I'm so behind the wagon with these guys. Instrumentally, I'm really digging it's almost jazz-like, just with the keys and the vibe. It just feels like a blues kind of session, just with a little bit of heavier kind of tone behind it. I feel everything that I've listened to so far, and I know it's a limited sample size, but everything that I've listened to with Sleep Token that has started so soft ends up ending with an absolute belter of a performance. So I'm low-key expecting that in the back pocket.
Until I
So, I think at this point, Vessel has moved on. He's tried to pick up the pieces again, he found violence in it again, and he has moved on. That's what I think the transition is here. Saying things that attribute to that, like him coming through saying, "You taste like new flesh, say my name again." It's he's tasting something new. He's taking in something new. It doesn't need to be a physical, tasting. It could be metaphorical. It could be just taking in somebody's, essence, somebody's being. Until I wake, I dine on old encounters. Remembering the past experiences that he has gone through until he wakes up to himself and moves on. That's what I'm drawing conclusions to with here. Again, I could be completely wrong. That was brilliant. Let's talk about it. So at least for myself, as I spoke about through those reactions, I think we start with Vessel wanting to pick up the pieces of himself again and reinvest himself in a new relationship. Whether that is worshipping sleep once more but in a new light, whether that is finding somebody new to devote himself to, but that devotion, that worship and picking up the pieces quickly falls apart, transitioning from Kolkata into Nazareth, and then by the end of Nazareth we have somebody who is broken, who is angry, who is, singing about contemplating death or doing something much worse, and then you transition into Jericho at the end, and it's almost like he's ready to move on completely. He's realized that once more he's found himself in this precarious position. He needs to move on again. And, speaking about, until I wake, I dine on past encounters. Again, it's more, could even be like being in a trance-like state, falling into comfortability again and having to wake up and move away from that. And speaking to himself and reconfirming to himself that until he physically does something about it, he is going to be trapped in the past. He needs to be able to move forward. And that is something that I feel in many ways, shapes and forms we can attribute to our own lives. Doesn't have to be relationships. It could be numerous things, but we could be stuck in a moment where until we wake up and we do something about it, we will not be able to physically move forward. But as we have seen with 1 and now with 2, he seems to keep on slipping into this relationship with sleep and worshipping sleep. And I think that's going to be thematically something that we continue to see. I think there's going to be a lot of push and pull between Vessel and sleep. Vessel's going to continuously find himself coming back around to sleep again. But again, I'm still very much new and knocking on the door of Sleep Token, so I could be so far off the mark. I do appreciate all the comments that I got on the 1 EP reaction, with some of you saying that for listening to Sleep Token so early on and having a small sample size that I've been hitting marks truer than most at this point in time. I just think at this point in time in my life, I've felt enough and experienced enough to attribute my own personal connections, and if that just means that it makes me hit closer to the mark, then so be it. there's just something so raw and emotional about Sleep Token that really strikes a tone with me, and I don't know whether it's because I've gone through what I have especially over the last couple of years with my own life. I find myself opening myself up to newer experiences and drawing that in closer than ever before, and these guys just strike me on such a profound emotional level that it almost at times, even now in reflection, has me having to force tears back, having to hold emotions in. It's they pull such a raw, deep-seated, feeling out of me listening to them, and I really cannot wait to take in more. I cannot wait to worship more. I cannot wait to experience more with you guys at home. That opens me up to presenting a question to you guys at home as well. Obviously, these EPs are only a couple of tracks long, so we're able to sit down and take them in full. When it comes to studio albums, which are going to have like anywhere from 10 plus songs involved, would you like to see full album reactions where we sit down and listen to the album in full? Should I be dedicating time to individual songs? Should we be splitting the album in half? I would love to know how you guys would like to have that delivered to you, because at the end of the day, when it comes to Sleep Token, we are here to worship together, and I'm doing this for you guys at home as much as I'm doing it for myself. So I would love your input for when it comes to those bigger, beefier kind of albums that we take on in. I just can't wait to take in more. We've already seen thematically, at least in my eyes, there's continuity. I would love to see whether that continues. I want to take in bigger tones, bigger sounds. This was the first time I feel we got kind of that bluesy, jazzy kind of feel. Is that something they'll lean into more moving forward? I hope so, because I loved it. At any rate, that is the end of today's reaction video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I would appreciate it if you left a like on the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, as well as what we just spoke about with, recommendations for how I should handle Sleep Token moving forward. Hit that subscribe button if you want to get on board the community we are building together. Most importantly, hit that notification bell, so whenever we come to worship again, you guys get that notification to let you know it's gone down. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.